Hi, here we are again with another project that is focused on making art with things that belong to my dad. The first one I did was printing cyanotype on my dad's Carhartt vest, and that project was a lot of fun for me. It was also really healing. It really helped me process and express grief and love. And I have worn that vest quite a few times since I made it, just going out on walks. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. And that project really inspired me to do more. It made me feel like there's so much I can do to celebrate the things, not just the things, but just to celebrate my love for my dad and like the grief that I've experienced, and just all of, being an artist. That's a big part of it, is being able to make something beautiful from things that are painful, but also make something beautiful from things that are full of joy and love. And that's all of these things hold all of those emotions for me. And so I wanted to do another project for this series today. I just, woke up today and I was like, today's the day. We're going to do it. Okay, so the star of this project is something that my dad actually made. It's something that I found when I was going through his garage/workshop after he died. So when he died, my sister and I inherited his house and everything in it. And it is definitely a wild and weird process and experience to go through someone's home and all of their things, and to get to know them through that process, get to know them in a different way through that process, and to reconnect with and relive a lot of other memories, because there's so many things from my childhood that my dad still had, and that were like things of our families, like items, or just my dad, he held on to a lot of like letters and notes and emails and things like that, because those things just made him feel really good to still have that connection to the people who sent him that letter or that email. And so it was just really interesting to get to see him through all of those things. So there are a lot of things that my sister and I were really excited to find, even though that feels weird to say excited because it's hard because our dad died. But the excitement was more like it was a joyful experience to come across things that meant so much to us when we were kids. And those things they feel different after someone you love dies. Like it changes. And so there were certain things that we just got to be in the energy of the memory and of the love of all of that together while we were going through the house. But the thing that I found when my husband and I were going through the garage and workshop, we came across one of many Folgers coffee cans that had just, all kinds of stuff in a workshop, all kinds of stuff in it. There was one can that had this collection of wooden utensils that were at various stages of creation. I remember years ago, my dad started to get into whittling and different types of woodworking. He'd always done some woodworking stuff, like even when I was a kid, he would build things. But I remember at some point, he got into, actually, he wanted to do whittling. He just wanted that. He wanted a hobby like that. But I don't remember ever seeing anything he ever made, because I don't think that he got very far on that journey, because when we found these utensils, it was clear that he gave up at some point. And I say that with all the love in my heart, because I understand how that feels to want to give up when you don't feel like you're good at the thing that you're trying to do. And I think my dad kind of was like that with some things, that he was like, if he wasn't good at it or up to his, you know, standards, like that was it. He wasn't going to do it anymore. But okay, I think there were like 5 wooden utensils. 3 of them clearly did not get far on that. Like, they got the general shape of the utensil, but they were really just, I don't think he was happy with them at all. So those were not keepers for us either. I was like, it's not even at a point where I would take it to the next level. I can't see what his full vision was with this. But there were 2 things in that coffee can that just, my heart almost burst to see them. And one of them I knew the one that I wanted, and I was taking that one because I found it. But the other one was like a ladle of some sort, like at some point, or just a big giant spoon, like a big spoon. And to me, it looked like a witch's spoon, something that you would put into a cauldron. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to my sister and I said, look at, like, I found these. Do you want this one? And she was like, hell yes, I want that. I will take it camping, because she could use it in her cauldron or in her pot to cook beans when she's camping. It was so amazing. I'm pretty sure I have that photo still. So I will either put it in this video or in the post on Patreon. It was amazing. It was so, it was not finished at all. Like, it still needs to be sanded, but you can see the vision, and it just made me so happy. Okay, so here's the thing. The other item that I found, it's probably my favorite thing that I got from my dad. Even though it was like not an intentional gift, it was a thing that I found. And to me, why I love it so much, it's art. And my dad wasn't a painter. He didn't draw. He didn't make photographs. He didn't make music. Like, he wasn't an artist in the ways that like my sister and I and our mom are. And so to get to see his art, or no matter like whether it was finished or not, to see the things that feel like it was his creative expression, is a really beautiful thing. And it makes me really emotional. But the other utensil that is my favorite thing that my dad left behind is this spoon. This little teeny tiny wooden spoon with the tiniest little handle that's just perfect for me to hold on to it. And it's not completely finished, but it is still, it's smooth. Like, he got it, he went pretty far with this. I don't know what the piece of wood looked like that this started as, but I just love this so much. So I have been using this since I found it. It was either in April or May of last year. I have been, like, I knew immediately that this was going to be incorporated into my art in some way in my studio. It's going to be, I'm putting it to work. It wasn't something that I wanted to preserve, like frame or put in a box or put somewhere. Like, that's not how I felt connected to this. I felt like this piece of art that my dad made is going to live on through my work, through my art. And so for the past, I want to say 6 to 8 months, probably 6 to 7 months, I have been using this to make my wonder journals, which are these cute little journals, and also for my zine that I made for my business. I use this for creasing the folds on things like my zine, and then also for all my wonder journals that I make. I crease all of the papers that go inside the journals. I crease the covers. This spoon is used for that. And sometimes when I am feeling overwhelmed with grief, because it just comes on whenever it feels like it. I could be just sitting here in my office working on something, and then it just shows up and I can grab the spoon and I say, my dad's gone, but I have this spoon. And then I just like start laughing because it feels silly. And it's just a nice little moment of transition from deep sadness into joy. So the project that we're going to do is Wonder Journals. And one other aspect of this that I have that includes or involves my dad is that on what would have been his 70th birthday this past October, my mom and my sister and I went for a hike in memory of my dad and actually collected a few wild things in the forest to use in cyanotype printing. I have printed with some of the ferns that I collected, but there's another plant that I got that I don't know what it is. But I liked how it looked, and so that's the thing that's gonna probably be the star of the printing for this project, but I haven't used it yet, so we'll see. I'm also gonna use papers that I painted a while ago, some of my papers for journal covers. I really want to use what I already have before I start painting more because I have a lot. I got a lot of papers that I need to use. I'm gonna be restricted to what I already have available in terms of like sizing. I think I have some small ones and I maybe have one or two bigger sized Wonder Journals. But yeah, so we're gonna make some Wonder Journals with spoon, and it's gonna be probably a 2 or 3 day process because I need to do the printing and then I have to dry the covers and then have to let them flatten, and then they'll be ready for the folding, creasing, and then the binding. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do, and I'm super excited. We'll see how it all turns out. And what I love about having spoon throughout this whole process is it feels like my dad is a part of this art with me, which is just the most beautiful and wonderful feeling, to have him here with me while I'm making something weird and wild. All right, let's get started. So I finished printing both of the larger Wonder Journal covers. They are now hanging to dry. The second one, I actually really like the design of it. One thing that happened is one of the little birds, the bracts from the birch tree, it rotated at some point when I moved the whole thing into the exposure box. And that can happen when there are like multiple layers of things. There's could be just a little bit of space, enough to like make room for things to move around. And so the direction that that particular bird is flying is totally different than what I had planned. And I thought I was going to be bummed at first when I saw that that happened, but then I realized, you know what, this is just part of the wildness of this art and this whole process, and it's totally fine. And I wasn't making these two pieces with the intention of like selling them or putting them on display or anything like that. This is just for me. This is my own little creative project that's more about the process and more about the bigger piece of working through grief and making art that includes, you know, honoring my dad and the memory of our life together. So it's easy for me to forget that stuff when I'm right in the middle of printing something. But now taking this time to think about it, it's like, no, it's okay that it didn't turn out exactly as I wanted it to, or I planned for it to, because we're here to do things wildly and make messes, because this is the wilderness. So I think I'm going to print some little ones, they're not that little, some smaller Wonder Journals, just because I have a lot of painted papers and I might as well just for fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Good morning. So we are on day 2 of this Wonder Journal project using my dad's spoon that he made to make some art, to make some Wonder Journals. Yesterday I did all of the printing for the journal covers, and I'm really proud of myself because I did not forget to take them off the drying rack and put them in the flattener, which is just my cyanotype sandwich that I put the cyanotypes in to put them under the UV lamp. So it's kind of a cool little system that can do more than one thing. Anyway, so today my goals for this project are picking the paper and trimming the paper and rounding the corners of the paper, and also rounding the corners of all of the journal covers, and then binding everything. Well, first I get to actually use the spoon to fold and crease all of the pages and the journal covers. So that's kind of a lot of tedious work. I mean, there's not actually that many that I have to do, but still, it's not the most exciting piece of all of this. Trimming paper is my least favorite thing to do, but luckily I only had to trim a few pieces today because I had a bunch of pieces already trimmed and ready for me to use today, which that's totally on theme for this whole project, because yesterday I talked about wanting to use papers that I had already painted that were on the paper that I use for journals. So I was able to do that and they turned out beautifully. I'm so happy with how they turned out. I can't wait to see them in full journal form. Actually, I'll just show you. So here's one of the regular size Wonder Journal covers after it's been rounded and folded. So this is the front. I love it. It feels like such a beautiful story. I still don't know what this plant is. This is greenery. It's not a flower, it's greenery. Although now it's very like browny, orangey yellow because I've had it for several months drying. So I just love it. I love this. And then here's the other one. This was the first one I did. I thought it was gonna be too busy having 4 ferns, which I realized that after I had done the print, put it under the UV light, so I couldn't change that, but I don't mind it. I feel like I'm just really deep in the forest with this, and then that's the back side. So they're really similar because it's all the same elements, but they're different enough that they each kind of have their own little story. And I just love it. I love it so much. And I'm really excited to put these together with the paper. And then the paper I'm using is for the big journals. It's from a pad of paper that is from my childhood. I think maybe like middle school, high school time. There's a sketch in there of a horse that's from 1998. So that would have been like freshman year. Either would have been freshman year or like the end of middle school for me, I think. I think that was right. Yeah. Anyway, it's a long time ago. That's almost 30 years ago. Holy manoli. So this paper's old. We'll just say that. But it's great. I want to put this paper in the big journals. And so the next step right now is I need to round all of the corners of these pages, which my sunny girl already has shown me she is not a big fan of the little punch thing, the noise it makes. She was like, what is that? So she had to come over here and sniff it. I think she'll be okay. She wasn't like anxious or anything. She was just like, what the heck is that? But that was also on thicker paper, so that, you know, it was louder. Anyway, and then I also have these watercolor pages that I think I'm going to use on 2 of the mini journals. And then I have some regular computer paper already done that I'll use on the other 2. Very excited to show you how Spoon works. Let's go make some journals. So my mind has just sort of been wandering around as I've been rounding the corners. Wandering around, rounding corners, that's funny. Okay. So this paper is proving to be trickier than other papers just because of how thin it is. I guess maybe the computer paper is sort of like this, but I don't know if it's because it's so old. It's just playing some tricks on me. It's being real silly. So it's harder to punch because the paper just wants to like go in weird ways into this. And so I'm having to like go over each corner multiple times to get it just right. And then also it's like flying out of my hands when I'm trying to turn it to get to the next corner, and it's just been a real silly scene around here. And it got me thinking about how there are tools and equipment that have been created. I mean, like this thing right here, it's so great. It has 3 different sizes for punching corners, but it's still something you have to do by hand. But there are like machines that you can put a whole stack of papers in and pull a lever and it'll round that entire stack. And I just am thinking about how, you know, sure, that would be really convenient and it would be really fun and it would be easier, a lot easier than what I'm doing. But I would probably lose out on the opportunity to laugh at myself for the ridiculousness that is occurring, the mistakes that I make, the just like silly goofs that happen, like the paper flying out of my hand and having to like try to catch it in the air, and just, you know, having to slow down, having to make myself pause and think about what's happening with the piece of paper and the punch, troubleshoot it, try some different things. And I totally understand why people want an easier way so that they don't have to be stuck in that messy space and that they just want to get the job done. But let me do it the hard way. Let me do it the hard way so that I can live. And I know probably a lot of people think, well, no, give me the easy way so that I can live, so I can go live my life. But I think for me, part of living, and I know this is the same for so many people, part of being alive and part of living and part of experiencing is doing the messy parts, is the hard part, the hard things, and having to figure it out for yourself. And to reject the idea that the productivity is the magic, because it's not. It isn't. It's a byproduct of some things, but for the most part, it's so tied to capitalism and forcing ourselves to find the easy way or to push ourselves so much that we forget to enjoy the process. And I know we don't all have the luxury of being able to like sit in the process and be in a slower space. I wish it wasn't a luxury. I wish it was just something that we all could have. Anyway, this is just where my mind has been going as I've been rounding these corners and trying to troubleshoot the little moments where it, you know, looks like crap and I have to fix it. And sure, it would be nice one day probably to have that fancier corner rounder. But like I said, I would miss out on the specific opportunities of this process right here, right now, to laugh at myself, to laugh at the goofs, to laugh at the mistakes, to laugh at the mess, and to learn from them. So right now, let me live. Let me do the hard thing, because I'm okay. I'm okay with it right now. So yeah, that's my little brain wander for this. And that's also why I love being in the process of creative expression and experimentation and exploration and all the things, because it lets your brain do the thing that it does, lets it be its beautiful self. And just, I love that. I love it so much. I'm almost done rounding the corners on these big pieces of paper for the bigger journals. And it's actually been a lot more fun to sit here and babble about stuff instead of just, you know, recording from above me punching these corners, because that's actually really boring. I will switch to the above camera when I start to fold the papers, because I really want you to see the spoon doing its thing, so you can see how my dad gets to live on through the work that I do, through the art that I'm making. It's such a such a wonderful feeling to get to do that. And I think it kind of really sort of honors just a piece of the relationship that I had with my dad. Like, because there were a lot of different aspects to, you know, just like, we all know this, like, we can have complicated relationships with anyone, especially with family members. But the thing is that there are pieces of my relationship with my dad that I will treasure for my entire life that are just, you know, and this is part of it right here. Like, when I got to just spend time with my dad, just the two of us, making something, or, you know, learning something, or just getting to teach me something. Those were like the best moments. And that's what I feel like here, is that maybe this is a little bit of me teaching him, wherever he is, the art that I make, and a little bit more about my heart as a human and as an artist, in ways that I didn't get to share with him when he was alive. And for a lot of different reasons that we will not go into today, but just, yeah. Here's the last piece. I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah, thanks for letting me babble. I mean, I was gonna babble with or without permission, but if you're still here and you're still listening, thank you for listening to my babble. We need more babble sessions, I think. Not just me babbling, but like, let's hang out. Come to wilderness hours when I start to schedule them, because I think it'd be really fun to just sit together and babble, or not babble, but just make art, just do stuff, because we need that. We need more of it. We need more community where we can make things, and I don't know. Cool. We've got all of these corners rounded, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and move on to using spoon to fold all of these and crease them, and then start making the first Wonder Journal, start doing the binding. I still have these, but I'm feeling like maybe I want to focus on getting the large journals done before those ones, because the large ones are kind of the most important ones to me. So anyway, all right, let's start folding. we are on day 3 of this. So I think I actually am going to just do these 2 mini wonder journals because they are similar to the big journals. And I like this idea very much for this project, that this will be like the final thing. So I'm gonna just focus on binding these 2 today for this project. I gotta fold these papers and then bind these mini journals, and I'm so excited. Yay! And we're done. Finished this project, and I love it. I love how these 4 wonder journals turned out. It's really weird to be filming while working on a project like this, because I kind of have to have like 2 parts of my brain working at the same time. So I'm trying to allow myself the space to move through the emotions that come up as I'm working on this, but I also have this very like strategic mind of, okay, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, and I need to make sure I film this, and I need to talk about this. So it's like a really weird mixture of things, and I haven't quite decided yet if it's negatively affecting any part of the process. I don't think it is. I think it's just its own wild thing. And it's actually kind of fun for me to go and watch back some of the video of me talking about this stuff, because I mean, it comes out, and then I've moved on to the next thing. It's like this stream of consciousness in some ways. And that's, I need that. That's like a really good part, a really good way for me to process my grief and process my creative expression. So I guess all of that to say, this is actually like having to record while I'm working on this project has been really nice. Sometimes it can be really energetically taxing for me to be filming while I'm working on a project. But with this one, it hasn't been too bad. It's been actually really good, part of the healing process. And that's what this series is all about, is making art to process the emotion, to process the grief, and to, you know, create something beautiful from things that belong to my dad. And that's what we've done with this. And I'm so excited about it. I have 2 regular size wonder journals, and then 2 mini wonder journals. And I love them. It's so cool. It's so cool to like hold in your hands a finished piece that was only a few days ago an idea, a possibility, and now it's real here in my hands, in the world, and I love it. And I got to use spoon, and I was thinking too about how at the beginning of this project, I shared the story of Spoon and how, you know, my intention with it and how I've been using it over the past year is just to incorporate it into my work and to put it to work. And that's exactly what it does, what it has been for me. And even in this project, I sometimes forgot that this project was about this spoon. A big part of this project is about the spoon. The spoon is the star, but because it's just such a piece and such a, it's so ingrained in this type of work for me that I easily was, forgetting that that's what it was about. It's just weird, but good because that means that the spoon is here and is a part of everything, and I love it. So I am keeping 2 of these journals for myself. I haven't decided which mini one I want, but I think I'm going to, I'm going to give my sister the other 2 because I think she would love it so much. She's a writer, so she will write in the journals, or do whatever she wants with them. And she was there when I went on the hike and gathered these things because it was our dad's, what would have been his 70th birthday. And we wanted to spend that day together. So that's the plan for these Wonder Journals. I'm keeping 2 and I'm giving 2 to my sister. Yeah, I love it. I'm really glad that I did this project. And each time I do a new project with this sort of focus, it just feels like I'm a little bit closer to my dad and a little bit closer to myself and my own process of grieving, but also process of living. And just, being an artist is a lot of things, and getting to explore creativity in this way means a lot. And I'm really, really glad that I get to do this. And I wish my dad was here. I wish my dad was here to be a part of it in real life, here with me. But to get to have the spoon that he made be a part of this work is pretty cool. So thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me in the wilderness and making weird and wild stuff and sitting in grief and love and joy and story. And I can't wait to be back here again with another project. Bye.